and the the things what noobs should be expecting in Warframe. Keep in mind that Warframe, before I get any further about what I'm about to say, first off, it's called it's like last night when they showed my video and how to pass the mastery rank 8 test, and using Titania is the best course direction. Some people may say use a different Warframe, but Titania is the best character for that. Anyways, things that noobs should know, pretty much self-explanatory. And what DE does not tell anybody who starts off new in Warframe, veteran gamers who either A are still playing or B have quit. And of course, some things that noobs also need to know about is sometimes we're going to start off with the trading. Eventually, as you get more familiar with Warframe, you go to certain areas that are going to trade. But keep in mind that some of these people who are going to trade with you, or let's say you farm certain things that might be of interest. For an example, I'm going to walk over here really quick to the Foundry, and I'm going to grab my Lex Prime, which has already been done after about 11 hours. So I'm going to grab it. So let's say here you have 2 blueprints of Lex Prime, and you want to sell it for, I don't know, maybe let's say you want to sell it for, just take an argument, like 15 platinum. I know it's going to probably be a little bit more than that, but you're going to get scammers who are going to actually try to fleece you by trying to, for an example, on YouTube, there's a video, I happened to see it, some guy was selling Prime, pretty much the Prime blueprints, the Prime parts for a Prime character. Person goes and he scams the person that's selling the Prime for one platinum, and that's not a cool thing. So just keep in mind, if you have any extra blueprints lying around, or if you somehow stumble across more than one blueprint and you want to sell it, like ones that are actually worth platinum, be very careful of people who are going to scam you in that, as a future. Another thing I'm going to begin off by saying that when you start in Warframe, it's not going to be for everybody, and as sad as this is going to sound, I actually quit Warframe for a little bit and then I went back and played it. DE lacks pretty much the explanation of how your Warframe will start off. When you first download it and you play it, you select the character. Now, why are you getting Excaliburs? Because your starting character at that point is actually going to be Excalibur. I would hold on to Excalibur as much as you possibly can, level them up to some degree, some extent, and on top of it, if you decide to go with a Warframe, I would actually first get Titania. Try to farm her. If not, you can always, another easy way is to go and buy her for about 275 platinum. You'll pretty much get everything. She's a earlier version. If you get a lot of weapons from her, she's actually the earlier version of the Archwing, quote unquote, which is helpful and doable. Some people would see it not that way, but if you decide to go a different route where you just want to pick a main character to whatever your sole purpose is in Warframe, and you stick with that main character, chances are it'll take a lot longer. It's going to suck his ass. It's going to really suck ass, because, to be perfectly honest and truthful, and it goes back to what I said, it's not for everybody. The game is not for everybody. Reason why I'm saying that is because Warframe is a continual grind. Some people will get bored of it after about 2 to 3 hours. Some people will not get bored of it. It really depends on whether, because certain gamers who played Warframe, I've actually seen come and go, who pretty much get bored of Warframe because the story mode A is not being self-explanatory. Now, when you play Warframe, now, I've seen other videos, and I'll show you what there is here. If you ever have any problems, pretty much what I could show you here. Now, if you go to customize game settings, of course, you're going to have all this stuff. Now, if you go to gameplay, you'll have like all this stuff here, which is fine. Then you can have your chat. Pretty much, you can go region. You could cut these out. Like you could shut off region chat and the profanity filter. Whatever the case may be here. Your interface is pretty much your. This is like your HUD. Damage numbers, affinity numbers. These are stuff that just show if you want to change it or tinker it. And of course, you can control your display, your brightness and stuff. I'm not going to explain every one of them, but it says here, now if you use a constant weapon trail, now mine's disabled. It's pretty much anytime your melee weapon is equipped, you will see a constant energy trail, which I don't normally put on, only because I just don't feel like I need to see a constant energy trail, which is to me pointless. And of course, if you ever decide to tinker with the sounds, you got all these volume controls, transmission controller. I usually leave that off. Sound effects I pretty much leave on. I leave pretty much the mute chat notifications. And of course, for voice volume, depending on your mic, which is another thing. Now, if you go to your, where is it now? If you go to, I believe it's not, is it communication? No. It pretty much is self-explanatory. If you go into your operator, you'll get your operator more when you get to the second dream. That'll be in your story mode. The second dream is entailing the story of your operator. Okay, this is the gist of it. When you play Warframe, okay, we all know we start off with Excalibur, which is a free-to-play character the moment you download it. Now, when you play Warframe, you think that the actual Warframe is the actual person. Well, it's not. The Warframe is pretty much engineered as whatever character you decide to go for. And what a Warframe is, technically speaking, it's a mechanical puppet. Now, this is where the operator comes in. The operator is the actual human, which some of us would actually say human, but the Warframes themselves are actually human, but they were made as pretty much more as a puppet. They're not really human. They're mechanical puppets, and they were basically to represent as a human figure. Now, the majority of now the story of the Warframe, the reason why when you start off you have Captain Vor who's trying to capture a Warframe and have it do it as under his bidding is because he wants to have that control on the Warframe, because the Warframe is considered a weapon. Now, when in the story mode, as you progress, you'll see things that'll come together. Some quests are kind of tedious. Some are pretty much important. For an example, if I go to one of my quests, now Vor's Prize is the beginning part of how you come about being awakened. So you pretty much have to fight Captain Vor. You have to do this more than once. Now, Gara is a different story. This pretty much is more self-explanatory of a different Warframe. A Warframe which I haven't, well, I've actually completed it, but you'll be able to get inside the cave in the little village of Sedis, which this is kind of important right here. But also, when you get into the Kubro, this one's about how to pretty much make your own pet. You have to actually farm for the components, which kind of becomes a pain in the butt at times. But as you progress, now you see I've completed the main story modes, which are the War Within, the Second Dream, Stolen Dreams I've completed here. So the ones that you have to keep an eye on, like this is also important as well with the Arcwing, which is considered that you pick fragments up and you find pieces of an Arcwing, because you're going to need, some missions are going to require you an Arcwing mission. And some of them, I'm going to be perfectly honest, the Arcwing is not as easy. It's really not easy to control. Most people hate it because of the fact that you have to do certain missions that require it. And if you see a locked icon on an Arcwing figure, you pretty much will. And I'll show you that in a bit. Limbo is kind of tedious. This is the one that's kind of boring. But the ones that you need to focus on, in truth, are going to be pretty much here. You do have to do this to get into the cave so you can get your piece for your operator. This you have to do. Once Awake is part of the story quest. A Man of Few Words that's just pretty much, you're just gonna get a guy who you're gonna get more of a almost like a clone of Clem that can help you along battles. This here you have to do. It's not really, it's kind of part of a story quest, but it really isn't. Stolen Dreams right here is part of the story quest. That's not. The New Strange Things is part of the story quest, which you have to be patient with, because that one you have to do a scan synthesis to complete that in order to proceed to the other ones. Nata is also the Nata over here is part of the story quest, along with the Second Dream, which you will have to encounter later on. And then the War Within is your final quest right here, is your final mission. So pretty much your actual story quest will actually be from here to this one. And then pretty much to Stolen Dreams. This part right here will be the main story quest, but the bullshit of it is that you have to unlock everything else. Well, not everything, but certain things will unlock during the mission. So pretty much you'll have from here to this one, to this one. This is your story. This, and War Within. So pretty much the story mode is very short. And then the rest over here, for an example, this is farm, that's farm, this is farm, that's a farm. So these four here are farm, and if you go down here, Limbo is another one. Now Limbo, you can do the mission of Limbo, which you might have to do. Certain missions require you to complete the missions and so on and so forth. And then the other ones I didn't do. But the Chains of Harrow is to unlock the Sacrifice mission, which you'll do later on. And then this one is where you can get Titania. This is kind of part of story mode, but it really isn't. It's just you're going to have to farm another, more like you're going to farm Nidus or Mesa. No, it's Mesa. Nidus is over here. You'd have to do the Jorda's Precept, which you're pretty much going to farm Nidus, and that takes 72 hours. Any Warframe you try to get in, like from here on down, is to get the Warframes. Well, I don't know about the last Gambit, but so pretty much anything from pretty much from here to Hidden Messages, Chains of Harrow, Grove. The rest of this here is going to be pretty much all to farm the Warframes. And what's really interesting is that once you have enough farmed parts for the Warframes, then you pretty much have to wait 72 hours before they're even done. It's like I said, some people may not like it, and then of course now in the codex you have universe, you'll have like your weapons, your archives. This is right here will be self-explanatory about Warframes, certain info, like for an example, this pretty much will show you what I've completed so far in Warframe by using Siren. I only have about 90 Warframes owned. My personal favorite I actually was using for quite a while was, believe it or not, my very first Warframe was Korra. She got me to a point, but at some point you're gonna want to get a better Warframe. Ember's not too bad, but Ember is marginal at best. And then stuff here like the way the factions work, you run with certain enemies here. Some of them I've maxed out and some of them I haven't. But one thing I'm going to say is certain mods do not belong. So, like, you have thousands upon thousands of mods. And to be perfectly honest with you about all these mods that are in this game, you don't need a lot of them, because about half of them are going to be pretty much pointless. So just when you farm mods, or if you get mods, you want to make sure you have the right mods for the proper Warframe. Now, Art Gallery pretty much is all unlockable art concept that you get within the game. So pretty much, like, let's say we go to fan art. You can have all these characters. See, like, I have mine on autoplay. But these are more different artworks that are done by numerous people, or maybe sometimes they use it by under one developer. And then the last but not least are Fragments, which are kinda okay, but the Fragments are only good to, like, when you see the pictures blurred or distorted, that means you still have more fragments to get. The more fragments you get, these won't be as blurry as much, which is really good. But there's certain things here I have which aren't too bad. These are within the story mode. The Glass Warrior, that's part of this right here. And then they have another thing about training. But this is, you know, I'll be perfectly honest, when you go into certain things, like if you go into quests, when you hit the main menu part to see what you got, pretty much you'll have the basics here. They'll explain everything. You know, advanced movement, upgrades, upgrading mods. I mean, this is pretty much here where you can get the self-explanatory stuff. They explain about sentinels, they explain about damage, crafting Foundry. Like if I go into crafting Foundry, this, I mean, it's not very good, but it'll let you create. I mean, it's a very crappy thing to explain, because it says here, like crafting or Foundry, fashion your steel. Foundry is the key to creating the most powerful items in the solar system. Okay, stop right there. That's true. However, it doesn't really explain you very much about really how to Foundry, except if you want to flip to the next page. And it says here, study the components. Using the Foundry requires blueprints found in the market and on missions, resources which are dropped by enemies you kill. Enter the battlefield, collect the resources, and use them in Foundry. Okay, that's fine, good. But one thing they don't tell you about the Foundry, certain items and certain materials, you need to be a certain rank to use certain weapons. Now, as I keep going forward, it says here, but this is a really shitty way of explaining this part here. Warframes are rare and extremely powerful. Building one in the Foundry may require you to assemble multiple parts. Clan research may be involved. clan research, meaning like you need to be part of a dojo. But to get into the dojo, you have to make a clan key, which you have to farm materials for. And that's the first step of getting a clan dojo. Okay, now the question everybody would pretty much ask, like, why would you need a clan key for a dojo? To be perfectly honest with you, me being in a RNG game, having played it, it's really not necessary. I mean, I think they should do away with the clan dojo key, because I think that's really complete utter bullshit, in my own personal opinion. And there's some people that may agree with my thought about it, and some people may not. So as I keep going forward about this thing about the Foundry, I'm going to call out a couple things on the Foundry. Building in the Foundry begins by having the necessary resources and blueprints. Builds in progress can be rushed, and any item can be built more than once. Keep in mind you can build more than one item at a time. Okay, well that's true right there. But here we go. Take note of the required build time, which means certain builds are going to take longer than others. For an example, to get a prime weapon, or any kind of weapon, is going to take about 12 hours to build. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, 12 hours to build, hey, that's fine, good. But what if you're in a hurry and you don't want to wait 12 hours? Well, then you have to go to the market, and this is one thing they don't tell you. In order to rush your project, I mean, there's people who rush it because they don't want to wait 12 hours. That's kind of ridiculous. It should take no more than like a minute. And to buy the actual platinum for it, and you want to rush it, that's what, you know, if you want to buy the platinum and rush it and have it, that's a lot quicker than trying to say, okay, I gotta wait 12 hours, but I don't have the money to buy the platinum. Now, the platinum is going to require you to buy platinum in Warframe is when you have to pretty much use your own money, meaning like a PlayStation card or a credit card, your own money for in-game currency. If you ask me, I think you should be able to farm platinum. I don't think you should be able to go into the store and buy it, but that's one thing that DE fails to mention. It's like I said, certain ranks are going to need certain things, and that's just the way it is, and I think it's pretty shitty. And last but not least, build your future. Explore the solar system to find the resource and build a variety of items. Well, that's all fine and good, but the question is, when you find a variety of items, how much would I guarantee sometimes you don't get the necessary components because maybe the necessary components require too much, in which I think you're going to have to spend about hours to farm. You could be farming the same thing for about 2 to 3 hours. And where I think here's the drawback. Now, let me finish in the bottom now before I continue. Advanced players may use the Foundry to craft Titan extractors, a drone capable of securing resources outside of your missions. Now, you know, it's all fine and good. You know, you want to craft foundries and shit like that. You know, you want to make shit in the Foundry, but still, Warframe does not tell you specific components or times. What's up, Jason? So that's pretty much what it is. It's shit like this is really ridiculous for crafting and shit. But pretty much everything here will tell you how to. They'll tell you how to melee and shit. But there's always a catch-22 with a lot of things. And to go through Warframe and knowing everything, it just really sucks. So anyways, so now at this point, I'm trying to think here. So at this point, I'm going to start leveling up my Titania. got to a 13, level 13, rank 8. You too. So let's see. Or I should do a regular simple, but no, those are kind of boring. So, the best thing to do, though, I mean, you'll have like different alerts, different stuff. Pistol scavenger. Oh shit, and I forgot to equip my new gun. So, let me just back out from here and go over into my equipment really quick so I can change out my pistol real quick. And let's see, here it is. Now I need to find my prime weapon. Okay, well, it kind of showed up a little bit invisible, but it is what it is. But anyways, I pretty much puts the done deal in my video for today. I know it's like a little short and sweet, but till then, this is pretty much Michelle saying peace, love, and happiness, and should be doing more videos coming up. Probably later on today. Check me out on Paladins later. And keep the notifications up, and you have a wonderful and enjoying day. Bye for now.